Welcome back, Honors 10. Today we're going to be focusing on gerund phrases, and our goal for today is to be able to identify gerunds and their functions within sentences. Now, we began this unit by first reviewing direct and indirect objects and predicate adjectives and nominatives so that we can understand the functions of gerunds. So we'll be applying that information today. Gerunds are easy to find. They are verbals, words that look like verbs but act as adjectives that always end in ing, and they function as a noun. A gerund phrase includes the gerund, the ing word, as well as any modifiers and complements. Now, a gerund, because it's a noun, can function in 5 different ways. It can act as a subject, as a predicate nominative, as a direct object, as an indirect object, and also as an object of the preposition. Now, the gerund is really easy to spot. It's that ing verb word, but it also includes complements and modifiers. Here are some tips to help you locate the rest of the phrase. A gerund phrase will end in several ways. It can end when it hits the main verb in the sentence if it's acting as the subject. The gerund phrase can end when it hits a direct object if it's acting as an indirect object, or the gerund phrase can end when it hits a punctuation mark, usually a period, at the end of the sentence. You can also ask what after a gerund to locate the rest of the phrase. So taking what, finishing what. Also, gerunds are the verbal phrase that cannot be removed from sentences. Because they are nouns, if you remove them from a sentence, sentence won't make sense anymore. Now, the functions of gerunds, we need to review the 5 different ways that the nouns behave in order to understand how our gerunds behave. Now, subjects begin sentences. So if you see an ing verb at the beginning of the sentence, locate the rest of the phrase. It's going to end at the main verb. That is the subject of the sentence. As we reviewed before, direct objects follow action verbs. To find the direct object, you're going to find the subject. If you have an action verb in front of that ing verb, that means that the ing verb, the gerund, is probably functioning as the direct object. So find the subject, find the action verb, ask who or what, and that gerund will be the direct object in the sentence. Remember that indirect objects come between the action verb and the direct object of the sentence. To find those indirect objects, we find the subject, we find the action verb, we ask who or what to find the direct object, and then we ask to or for whom or to or for what. That will help us locate the indirect object. Remember, the indirect always falls between the action verb and the direct object. Now, if a gerund is behaving as a predicate nominative, it will appear right after a linking verb, and that gerund is going to rename the subject of the sentence. And objects of prepositions follow prepositions. So if you see a gerund preceded by any preposition word, it is the object of that preposition. Let's take a look at some examples and identify the gerunds, and then let's also practice identifying how they function within the sentence. In the first sentence, we have running a mile every day. This is functioning as a gerund. It's the beginning of the sentence, so this one is the subject of the sentence. Those are nice and easy. In the second sentence, our gerund begins with running. How do we know where the phrase ends in this one? We're going to continue until the end of the sentence. You can also say what after the gerund. By running what? By running a mile every day. Now this gerund, because it's in the second half of the sentence, I'm going to check to see what is in front of it. The word by is in front of it, which is a preposition, which makes this gerund an object of that preposition. In this next sentence, running is our gerund. In the rest of the gerund, to find the rest of it, we should say running what? Running a mile every day. We're going to continue until we hit the period at the end of the sentence. Because this comes in the second half of the sentence, I'm going to look and see what is in front of the gerund. Enjoyed is an action verb. When I have an action verb, I probably have a direct object. So say I enjoyed what? Running a mile every day is the direct object of the sentence. In the next sentence, again, we have the gerund running. We say running what? A mile. We continue until we hit the period. This gerund is preceded by the word is, which is a linking verb, and that means we have a predicate nominative. Running a mile renames the subject of the sentence, which is activity, and that makes this a predicate nominative. In the last sentence, this one's a little bit trickier. You're not going to see these as often, but running is our gerund. Now, if you say running what? a chance doesn't really answer that question. So running is by itself the gerund. Now I'm going to look and see what's in front of it. Gave is an action verb. When we have an action verb, we should check for a direct object. I gave what? Chance is the direct object. In between, we have the word running. So you say, I gave a chance to what? Running is my indirect object. Notice that the indirect object stopped when you hit the direct object of the sentence.